So we are going to be looking at a scenario where the Babylon Empire comes back, returning with these definitely historical borders that I found on Google. The Babylon Empire was one of the first empires ever established in the world, at least to my knowledge, containing parts of Egypt, all of Syria, Israel, and Jordan, along with a lot of areas of Turkey, Iran, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq. But if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure to like and subscribe. We are on the road to 3,000 subscribers, and it would help out a ton if you helped getting along to that milestone. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this video. So the Babylonians are back, and just plotted right back down inside of the Middle East. Of course, there's no NATO, EU, and nothing like that. I don't really think the EU would matter, but with the guidance of Hammurabi, we see them declaring war on Iraq. I don't even know if this area is livable. May just be desert. So we just see the Babylonians going straight in, and do know they do have like modern equipment, I'd say. They absolutely destroy this little piece of Iraq. And Babylon fully annexes Iraq. Next up, Kuwait. They are barely alive, so it's probably for the best that they just get invaded. And with this little sliver of land, there's not much Kuwait can do. But now that Babylon has invaded all of its weaker neighbors, Babylon has no more like super weak neighbors. They have Turkey, a top 10 power. I don't know anymore. Iran to their west, or no, east, my bad. Egypt to their west. And Saudi Arabia, probably the weakest out of all these guys. But I don't know if Babylon is that strong yet. So what they end up doing is they go down to the oil land of Kuwait. Not Kuwait, Qatar. And they start an invasion from the north, moving down really well. But it is right here where we see the UAE join in on this war, or known as the United Arab Emirates. Probably should have joined sooner. It's like I have a lisp now. But all of Qatar ends up falling over to the Babylon ships. And now a landing is made right in this part of the UAE. Almost like that Babylon was planning an invasion. They move down through this area, cutting this part off from the rest of the UAE, in which it all falls over to Babylon. And it is right here where the UAE is going to surrender, and we could look at a peace treaty. So first, Babylon fully annexes Qatar. Then they annex these areas away from the UAE. I don't know why I don't know the names of these countries now. But now with two little exclaves over here, they want to connect them up, which brings the invasion of Saudi Arabia to get even more oil. So the Babylons start with an invasion from this little part and these areas of Iraq right here, and they manage to cut off this northern area. Then a little inflation. What? I don't even know what I'm saying. I don't know. This whole area falls over to Babylon as they start a full-on invasion into Saudi Arabia, in which they are getting very far into Saudi Arabia, mainly down into the center of it. But now with these two little exclaves, we see them starting an invasion from the Qatar part. But they actually do manage to all of their little exclave inside of the UAE, which after that the UAE joins the war, as well as Oman. But Yemen does join the war on the side of Babylon, so I guess that's good. We now have a full-on Arabian War, and now Saudi Arabia is pushing back against Babylon. They manage to retake their coastline over here and start an invasion into Babylon. Babylon is going to focus a lot of their resources on moving down and connecting up with Qatar, cutting the UAE off from the Persian Gulf. They then continue a massive push down into the center of Arabia, then managing to disconnect this area. Saudi Arabia then loses all access in this invasion, and a landing has been made inside of their exclave, which then they move around and connect it up. As a naval landing has been made at the very northern tip of the UAE, and an invasion has started into Oman. Yemen also starts a small invasion into Oman, but Saudi Arabia absolutely demolishes Yemen, splitting them in two. The Yemenis are getting absolutely destroyed. But with that, Babylon continues to push us down into Saudi Arabia. I'm pretty sure their capital city has been captured by now. Which, after Babylon disconnects Saudi Arabia from all of their Red Sea coastal access, we see them capitulate. Oman is going to surrender, granting all these lands back to Yemen. And now the UAE is just absolutely manhandled for the second time. Babylon has just won the Arabian War. And now let's go ahead and look at a peace treaty. Inside of a peace treaty, we see Babylon annexing all of these lands from Saudi Arabia. They then fully annex the UAE and the northern part of Oman. Babylon then turns the rest of Saudi Arabia into a little puppet state. We then see Yemen annexing some parts of Saudi Arabia and a lot of western Oman. Then they become an ally of the Babylonian Empire. And I bet Oman is very scared and, well, Yemen's probably collapsing, but we're going to ignore that. Now, really, the Babylonians could go after any of their neighbors besides Oman. But instead, they're going to be going after Greece. They make a landing in Crete, taking over the whole island. Then they make a landing inside of the southern island right here. Then Turkey gets involved in this war, and they start an invasion into Greece. They take some of the Aegean Sea islands, and eventually all of this island is taken by Babylon as they cross over and take Athens. And as the Turks are moving into Greek land, we see the Babylons and the Turks meeting right here. But then the Babylonian leader is going to come out and say that there were some Babylonian troops killed on this front right here, and the Turks killed them, which is going to lead to the Babylons in pushing back the Turks. And now a full-on war has started between Babylon and Turkey. Now, was this started on purpose? Most likely, yeah. But we do see the Babylonians enter into Turkish land, mainly inside of the east, as they take a lot of eastern land, cutting them off from the Caucasus, and finally connecting up with the Black Sea, as they continue to be pushed back inside of Greece. Then a full-on invasion starts into Thrace, but Thrace is very mobilized, so there isn't really a big push. But down over in Anatolia, or Turkey, we actually continue to see a push into Turkey, as they start to connect up with more Aegean Sea coastlines. And eventually Thrace is taken and Constantinople has fallen, as they cross over and now are invading into Anatolia. Turkey is going to do the smart thing by surrendering, and we can look at a peace treaty. Inside of a peace treaty, we see all of these Turkish lands going over to Babylon, and they fully annex Greece, and they turn these little Turkish areas into a puppet state. Babylonia is becoming very big, but there is one more country they will be going after, and that is Egypt. But Iran has had enough, and they join in on the war on Egypt's side. Starting over in the Egyptian front, we see a push into Egypt, as Babylon was prepared to fight Egypt, but not so much Iran, as we see Iran moving into the southern areas, taking over all of Kuwait, and having major success inside of this area. But Egypt was not super prepared for this, as Cairo falls, and we see the Babylons making quick work of the populated areas of Egypt. They move down the Red Sea coastline, taking over a lot of these areas, and eventually taking over all of the Red Sea, and Egypt surrenders. Iran has entered into total war as they take over their whole front line of Babylon, moving up these areas, connecting up with the Black Sea, and invading into this puppet state. They then continue up these recently annexed Turkish areas, invading into this other puppet state, and it all falls. Iran is having major successes in this war, until the Babylon army finally arrives in this area, kicking back the Persians, and now an invasion has started into the south like Iran did just a little bit ago. They move down the the Persian Gulf areas, eventually taking it all over for themselves. Then they start to push back up in the north, pushing back into their Turkish puppet state, retaking it all, and the Persians are being pushed back. They're mainly focusing down inside of the coastal areas, taking all of their coastal access besides up in the Caspian. They move up and start a spearhead as they get fully pushed out of Babylon. And a full invasion starts. Babylon makes quick work of these Persian areas, and eventually the Persians surrender. Inside of a peace treaty, Iran is forced to give up these two big areas of land over to the Babylons, and all of these Egyptian lands are given over to Babylon, turning the rest of Egypt into a puppet state. But this is going to be the peak of the Babylon Empire. And that is going to do it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, make sure to like and subscribe, as we are on the road to 3,000 subscribers. And I will see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.